What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. In honor of International Women's Day, we are going to talk about what it's like to be a woman in software engineering or a woman in tech in general. And we have a very special guest with us. This is my flatmate Sunny. She's one of my closest friends as well, and she's a fellow software engineer. That's actually how we met. We met at uni, and together we're going to answer some interesting questions about what it's like to be a woman in such a heavily male-dominated field. So let's start with something easy. Let's start with a quick introduction for those of you who don't know Sunny or either one of us.
Okay, I go first.
You go first.
I think they know less about me, so you might have seen me. Yeah, I live with Pecha. We met during first year of uni. We studied computer science in Manchester, and we were actually in the same lab group, I think.
We were.
So we were both Bulgarian. We had, stuff in common, so we really became close in our first year of uni. Then we had the same placement, the same internship in Glasgow, in JP Morgan, yeah, so we worked together. Then we had the same internship again in Amazon, but we weren't together, we weren't in the same location, and now we both work in London, so we live together again.
Yeah. And the reason why we weren't together in the Amazon internship is because we never actually asked each other which location the other one's applying to.
Yeah, because both of us didn't think we were gonna get it, so we didn't coordinate. And then all of a sudden we both had interviews, and we were like, but I'm applying to London, you're applying to Edinburgh, blah blah blah, so we weren't together.
I honestly didn't think I had any chance whatsoever to go into Amazon, so I didn't really care where I'm applying to. I was like, yeah, just do it, so I know I've done it.
I work in Amazon now.
Still, yeah.
For the last 6 months, and yeah, that's about me.
My story is pretty much what she said. Same placement, same summer internship after that, and now I'm working for Bloomberg. I think it has been 3 or 4 months, but the first 3 were training, so I've actually just started. Kind of feels like I've just started my job a couple of weeks ago, but technically I started in October. Also, maybe it's worth mentioning what we're actually working on. So I'm currently on a mobile development team, so I work on iOS, Android applications. Currently, actually, my focus is iOS, and my tech stack at work would include Swift, Kotlin, C++, Python, and I think that's about it.
So I work in Prime Video, which is like the...
You know what Prime Video is.
Netflix version of... I don't know, yeah. I feel like people don't use it as much, but you should. You should, because it's an amazing website, which I am working on. Yeah. The tech stack is React, JavaScript, mainly. We also do Scala, which I actually did in JP Morgan. We work in Perl as well, and Java, but okay, I won't speak that much about that. We're actually moving away from Perl because it's like the worst language in the world, apparently. I'll be working more in Java.
Are you a full stack developer, front end, back end?
Yeah, I would say full stack. We do everything, so yeah. It's really
And I'm
intense.
also full stack. Yeah. The next question is, what is a typical day at work for you?
A typical day now, working from home. Usually I wake up at 8:30, I guess. I don't know. It keeps getting later because in the beginning you're really excited about going to work, and now
we're still excited.
No. So 8:30, wake up, and then I make coffee. I have breakfast while I work, I guess, and
don't tell them that.
So we have a stand-up which happens every day. That's for most software engineers. We have some meetings which are reoccurring, so it's every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, retrospectives, things like that. But usually I just do my tasks. That's kind of it. It's a bit unfortunate because you don't really have much social interaction apart from meetings. Yeah, right now. So you really need to go out of your way to talk to people.
COVID doesn't make that easier, unfortunately.
No, not at all. I would recommend try to schedule like coffee breaks with people.
Yeah, coffee breaks, that's what we call them.
Yeah, I don't do that, but I should do that. What about you?
What about, well, it's pretty much the same, only I don't make coffee during work. No, I'm joking. Yeah, it's pretty similar. Usually I start around 8:30, have my coffee, stand up. Some days I have a lot of meetings. Some days I have like 5 or 6, which pretty much doesn't leave that much time for coding. Some days I don't have any meetings at all. It's nice that sometimes we have meetings with the wider team, so usually you have like your own team, then you have some other teams that are kind of in the same area and you'd have catch-ups with them. And currently I really do appreciate them because that's the only way I get to meet people outside of my teams. We usually implement new features. Sometimes we work on fixing bugs that have been introduced. We review other people's codes. We have design discussions, we have retrospectives, which is discussing the previous weeks and what has happened, what was good, what wasn't. A lot of coding, but also a lot of talking to people, contrary to popular opinion.
You don't actually write, especially new code, no way you're writing new code every single day. Most of the time you're just investigating bugs, going on Stack Overflow, etc.
Testing.
Testing as well.
QAing. It's not like in the movies where you see someone typing and then there's like this wall of code that just appears. Usually it doesn't work exactly like that. Next question is, how did you decide to become a software engineer? I actually don't know why you decided.
That's
interesting. Let's hear
I was gonna say I don't know as well. No. I was in a maths high school, so we studied a lot of maths, more of like university level, you would say, and I really liked it. I think I was good at it, but I knew that if I was gonna study maths in university, then I'll need to become a teacher, which my mom was a maths teacher for a long time, and she was also a computer science teacher in high school for high school students. But that's not really a well-paid job, and it's not really something that I wanted for myself. And that's pretty much it. You can go into finance, I guess, if you study maths, but most people actually nowadays just become software engineers. I think in 9th grade we started studying computer science. Well, what we call computer science in Bulgaria, like, it's not really that much of a... And I was really determined. I thought, you know, this is a great thing. Like, it's kind of connected to maths in some ways. You need to have analytical thinking. I wasn't that good at it at first, but then, you know, I really made an effort. But thinking back, we really weren't doing anything. Like, literally nothing. So I only had a taste of what was to come, and then I just signed up for that at university. I mean, that's the course that I chose. What about you?
So for me, it was a bit different because I actually went to university to study architecture. I went to an English language high school, so I spent a lot of time learning English and French in theory. I think 11th and 12th grade I had to pick a couple more subjects to specialize in apart from the languages, because since it was a language school, the languages were kind of like a given. So I chose maths and informatics, or I don't even want to call it computer science because that was not computer science, that was us making PowerPoints. But the maths was actually pretty serious. I had a great teacher and I loved it. I was pretty good at maths at the time, but I also was really into drawing and art. I still am. So when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, I thought, I like maths, I like drawing. Architecture sounds like a logical thing to do. There was a lot of pressure to choose, you know, everyone's choosing university degrees, where they're going, what they're doing. And up until that time, I was the kind of person who always knew what they wanted to do. I was very determined, driven, all of that, and all of a sudden I was like, I have no clue what I want to do with my life. So I came up with this architecture decision because I thought it would make sense, not because I actually ever had interest in it, but I thought it sounds good, so let's try it. And I ended up hating it. And I dropped out of uni in my 2nd year. Even when I was in 1st year doing architecture still, for some reason I started considering computer science, because that was something that my father and my mom, who are also in tech, were always pushing me to go into. But maybe because they were pushing me to go into it and they were very encouraging, I kind of didn't want to do that. I wanted to do my own thing. I thought that me doing the same as them is apparently not cool enough or something stupid like that. So naturally I didn't want to do that. But when I was in 1st year, I started thinking about it, and I talked to some friends who were doing that, and I started thinking that actually sounds pretty fun. And I gave it a try. Still in 1st year, I went on Code Academy and tried doing some Java, and I was like, oh, that's actually pretty nice. It's fun. I don't hate it. I still stuck with architecture. I wanted to give it more time. In second year I hated it, dropped out, and I was like, maybe this whole computer science thing is going to work out better for me. So I went until the end of that year because it was too late to switch, and I started doing computer science, and I honestly fell in love with it the very first day of uni. I was like, God, this is great. Why was I so dumb? So my path was a bit more convoluted, but I got here eventually. Next question is, did you always know you wanted to do computer science or you wanted to go into tech? We kind of already answered that. I didn't.
Yeah, I think I didn't as well. I think similarly to you, my father was in tech. I was always around computers and he was always trying to show me interesting stuff.
To get you into it, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of had an impact.
I guess in Bulgaria, computer science is a very respected field. It's one of the very few professions that are well paid in Bulgaria, which it's sad, but that's a whole different conversation. It's a very popular choice. Schools usually have a lot of emphasis on maths as well, which obviously naturally leads to computer science. I guess for me it was the same. I definitely grew up around computers. My parents actually, I don't think I mentioned that, they had an internet providing company which also did like repairs, sales of computer stuff. I don't know. So we had this laptop which was this thick, and I think it was from the military, someone's military, not our military. And it was so sturdy that apparently you could run it over with a tank. I have no clue how we got to it, but it actually had touch screen, and we're talking years and years ago. That's how much I was kind of around tech, but I just wanted to do my own thing. Next one is interesting. Why do you think there's so few women in tech? I mean, I don't know if I'm correct, but first of all, I don't think that has anything to do with companies, employment, and universities, because at that point, it's kind of too late. Like, the amount of women that go into computer science degrees will be the amount of women you get into tech jobs. So in terms of hiring, there's not much you can do. Like, it's too late. I think at a young age, at least when we were growing up, tech, computers, things like that were always marketed towards boys. They were always considered something that boys do. At least in Bulgaria, there was this conception that men are better at logical thinking and that men are better at maths, and that's something that guys are good at and girls not so much. So I think that puts off girls even considering it. Like, it's not that they even decide that they don't want to do it, they just grow up thinking that that's kind of like a men's field. And I think that's where things need to change.
There's two sides of it, because in school girls do tend to have better grades, so in maths as well. But we were around computers or tech stuff from a very early age, and obviously this just over time plants this seed in your head that this is not that hard to do, like this is not so complicated, or you know, just how tech stuff are viewed by people who are not in tech. You know, that this is just some magic that, you know, certain people know how to work and others don't. And then when girls aren't exposed to that as much, girls are a bit not discouraged, they're just not encouraged.
If there was a change to be made, that has to happen at a much earlier age than university.
The next question, what do you think is the best part of being a woman in the tech industry?
We as women now can make an effort to change the field so that it's easier for women in the future, and that's something that is quite powerful if you think about it. You actually have this opportunity to make a change, to make something better for people who are gonna come after you.
I definitely agree with that. I think it's a unique position. There's women who don't want to bring that up often, and I think we're kind of like that. It's not like we're going around the office every day and just bringing up the fact, oh look, we're two women in the whole floor or whatever. Like, that's not a productive thing to do, because then it makes people
single you out even more.
Yeah, but you can make subtle changes or try to change just the environment in a certain way.
Being a woman, you're gonna be underestimated a lot, and sometimes again people don't realize they're doing it. It's not that they're doing it on purpose, but they do. If someone underestimates you, you have even more of a chance to prove them wrong and to shine. So it's not always a bad thing, but in an ideal world it wouldn't be like that. Being a woman in an engineering office wouldn't be like, oh, here's a unicorn, you know, a unicorn is walking around. Next question is, biggest struggle as a woman in tech? I guess unconscious bias, it's the obvious one.
Definitely, yeah. It is hard. It's hard because we're more, well, I don't want to generalize because that's what we're not trying to do here. But women typically need more communication, they're more empathetic, just if we're statistically speaking, like that's the tendency for women to be more social in a way, and tech is not the best, but this is where you can make a change. And actually when I was in Amazon on my internship, I met one girl, a Bulgarian as well. I was telling her about different struggles, whatever, and that's what she said to me. She was like, your team is what you make of it. When she went into that team, she didn't like the culture or whatever, so she did, you know, stuff to change that. And if you don't like your situation, you just need to change it, and that's
true. You can make any situation better. Any situation could be improved. You can't always solve every problem, but it's also up to you to make a difference and make sure that you're trying to change whatever it is that you don't like. The thing that I also struggle with being a woman is sometimes it's difficult to be myself. I don't know, I feel that people will take me even less seriously. For example, I like things that are considered girly. I like drawing, makeup, I do YouTube, and I like putting pictures on Instagram, and I oftentimes feel like I'm holding back and not letting people get to know me 100% because I am afraid that they're gonna consider me even less seriously.
I have that fear. I think every girl kind of has that fear in tech. In the beginning, you're more reserved.
Yeah, definitely. You're holding back for sure.
You need to start letting people get to know you bit by bit. The people at JP, the two people that I still am in touch with, they really still joke about, you know, how I would boss them around, or how I was like walking with my high heel boots or whatever around the office. Like, it's something that is unique to you. But I think in the really techie companies, there's definitely more difficult.
Just being yourself helps, because it teaches people that you can get many different personalities doing the same job and doing it well. So actually, by being yourself, you are making a change, because even though there's so few women in tech, there's still this stereotype of a woman in tech, and we don't fit even that. Like, we personally don't fit that stereotype. By being yourself, you're teaching people by example that you can be whoever you want to be, and that literally has absolutely nothing to do with your job and how you do your job. The fact that, let's say, I go to dance classes and I draw in my spare time and I decorate my room with fairy lights, that has absolutely nothing to do with my coding ability. But yeah, it is a struggle in the beginning to let people see that.
And oh wait, one more thing. I forgot about that. Because of maybe the attitude towards women, or you will have low confidence. I think that's for us the biggest struggle. I think we haven't actually addressed that. I don't think that just because we're saying, oh, you need to be yourself, and
it's not easy.
We have all that inside. Like, most of the time we feel bad about ourselves and about our ability to work.
You know that people are biased towards you. I'm not saying people that we currently work with, by the way, that's not what we're saying.
Just in general.
In general, yeah. Actually, the team I'm currently on is, out of the 3 teams that I've been on professionally, this is my favorite one, and they're absolutely amazing. There are literally 0 other girls. I'm the first girl on that team, or like the only one.
No, I think that's the worst part of it, is like, you don't have to have people being actively sexist towards you or anything like that. You tend to have these thoughts that maybe, you know, they don't think that you're that smart or that you can do this without it actually being there. Like, I think that they think that. And then you get,
but we think that they think that because we've had this experience overall, not just now, that led us to believe that there are a lot of people out there who don't believe that we're good enough to do this, or we're not as good as. There's an example I can give you. Recently there was this guy who messaged me on Instagram. He said, oh, so you're a software engineer? And I said, yes. And I realized that he was joking, but that proves the point. He said something along the lines, it's not often that I see pretty girls using their brains. I don't know, I can include a screenshot here.
The receipts,
the tea. Yeah, he's joking, or at least he said he was joking after I told him that that's really not okay. But the fact that he even has this idea to make a joke like that proves the point that this is just a general misconception that people have. And we know that, and because of that we I don't know, we get to a point where we just assume that people think that of us, which means we have lower confidence, we're afraid to speak up because we don't want to prove them right in their assumption that we're idiots.
Definitely, yeah.
So, yeah. Let's get to a more positive question. What do you love most about your job in general?
I think...
The free food.
Which we don't have.
Yeah.
Literally. I think solving problems, obviously, I mean, that's a big part of our job, and we talk about this often. It's just such a high emotion job, or the emotions run high, because it's either you're trying to find the bug or whatever, you're trying to find a way to do something and you're really struggling and it's really depressing you that you can't. There's a lot of low moments when it doesn't go right, but then when it does, then it's like a really rush of adrenaline almost. I think
it's very satisfying when you solve a problem.
Very
it's like a puzzle. It's
yeah.
literally like a puzzle, and it's, I think that the fact that you have these daily moments of satisfaction is really rewarding. It keeps you going because you have these little wins, but they're very well defined. I don't know if that makes sense, but you have a very well defined pieces of puzzles that you're trying to solve, and when you do, it's great. Love that.
But the little wins, I think, we kind of take them as confirmation that okay, we can do this.
Yeah.
But then also the
lows.
The lows really,
the meltdowns,
can affect again your confidence. I think we kind of attach our self-worth, or our work self-worth to what we do, but it's all a learning process. The fact that you're struggling for a long time doesn't mean that you're bad at your job or anything like that.
It's very easy for you to think I'm not delivering enough, because there are actual pieces of work that you do have to deliver all the time. So it's very easy to kind of go into, oh, I'm not doing enough, see, I've not written enough code this week, I've not, I don't know, whatever, solved this Jira.
What about you? Say something positive.
I guess the first thing is what we've just said, but also for me it's how diverse it is. It's such a wide field. It actually includes so many subfields. So I have this confidence that I'll never get bored, because one of my biggest fears in life is having a boring job and doing the same thing every single day. I would hate that to happen to me. I love that confidence that if I get bored with what I'm doing now, I can always go to something that's completely different, but at the same time similar enough that I can use my skills that I already have and transfer them. So that's something that I love. There's so much you can do within computer science.
There will always be like new features or new, so it's really challenging. And that's something that we talked about recently. It's like I feel like you're challenged so much on a daily basis that your brain is just you are really challenged, and
you're exercising your brain all the time, and you don't feel like you're just stuck in a rut and just doing the same thing, and your brain is constantly working, constantly solving problems. And even from a health point of view, you feel like you're sharp, and you know how you haven't done something for a long time, and when you try to pick it up you feel so rusty, like your brain just doesn't work very well. I don't feel that in my job because I have to think actively every day. Next question, what opportunities are there for women in tech?
I think we can give some examples, just like general things. If you're in uni now, which probably some of you are, I think you need to go kind of out of your way to find some events or
there are a lot of events for women. There are a lot of networking events, there are a lot of recruitment events which are targeted towards women to get women involved. Go after any and every opportunity you have, which is such a cliche, but it's so true, because you never know who you're gonna meet, what you're gonna find. The other thing is, Google, for example, has this STEP program, which is kind of like an internship, but it's targeting underrepresented groups in the field. And that doesn't mean only women, but women are obviously one of the main ones, but it also includes people from the LGBTQ community, people of color, all kinds of minorities. So an internship, I'd say, that is trying to give more platform and opportunities for people who are less represented.
A lot of Spring Insights, which is like 1 week at a company. A lot of companies have them. I went to Morgan Stanley, so at the time banks were doing them the most. I really didn't see anything else, but now we have that in Amazon as well. So try to find stuff like that, because it is really valuable. Most of them lead to actual internships. Like that's the idea of most of these.
Hackathons as well. I always talk about hackathons, they're great. Last question. One piece of advice for girls or women who want to go in tech.
I think we've said a lot of things, like
we talked a lot.
Pieces of advice. But just in general, you need to be very brave, I would say. Try not to be afraid of, as we said, like what people think or what you think they think. Don't be in your head too much. Just try to put yourself out there. I think that's the hardest part for people. It's hard for us as well. Even in our day-to-day job, like it's really hard to make yourself be known and just, you know, not hide. Just be out there. Like nobody will give you an opportunity just because you're a woman. Like nobody will contact you and be like, oh, come work for us because we don't have enough women. Like that's not gonna happen.
No.
So you need to chase your own opportunities. We tend to not promote ourselves or our work that much. Like we don't tend to say, oh, I did this and this and this. Like you need to say that to your manager, to your whatever lecturer, doesn't matter. Like you need to
take credit.
Yeah. What would you say?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I'm not entirely sure how to phrase that, but I'd say try not to think of yourself as a woman as much as you can.
Yeah, definitely.
But what I mean by that, before you cancel me, let me explain. Obviously think of yourself as a woman if that's what you identify as, but don't think of yourself, oh, I'm a female engineer, or I'm a female student, I am a woman this time. You are an engineer, period. Try not to go through life assuming already that you're somehow different. Try to act as if it doesn't matter, because it shouldn't matter. And don't single yourself out more than people are already doing that.
You need to exercise judgment. Like sometimes, as we said, like you need to use your power as a woman to better the situation in some way, but also don't make this distinction.
Don't make it that big of a deal, I guess.
Yeah,
because it's one of those things that if you don't make it a big deal, maybe other people will make it a big deal. Sometimes we do assume that people judge us when they don't, which we have our reasons to do, but still doesn't change the fact that sometimes we also have this bias that people are judging us unfairly. I guess this is the end of this chatty video.
Happy Women's Day.
Happy Women's Day. Yeah, happy International Women's Day.
Don't forget to send like well wishes to your mom or your grandma.
Yeah,
because I think people forget about that. Just do it. Do it now.
This is your reminder. This is your reminder. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much for being part of this video. It was great having you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll be a frequent guest. I mean, you're in the...
We have some ideas, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a big thumbs up because it helps other people discover it. And I hope to see you next time. Bye, guys. Mwah.
Baby, can you stop hesitating? No more second thoughts. Stop